It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how is it going? And welcome to the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Friday, December 22nd, and so happy for you joining us. We are ready to start another day together with the Lord. So subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So today we have an exciting podcast for you. We have Until the End with Daniel Baker, the Wednesday Message Word Study, and of course commentaries, updates, and news on what is happening around the world in this history today. All right, everyone, guess what day it is? It is Friday. Yes, it's Friday. I am super happy and excited because it's the end of the week. It is not just any weekend. It is Christmas weekend, so I hope you guys are looking forward. I know that tons of people, I'm here in Malaysia right now, and there are so many people preparing for the Christmas events. I'm super excited about this. So everyone, this is great. I can't wait for this weekend. I hope you guys had an amazing weekend too. Don't forget we have question answer Thursday. Well, it's every Thursday, obviously, but get those questions ready. Send them to me whenever you can, because I would love to listen to those questions. Like, I can't promise I can answer every question, but I will give my thoughts and what I get through the word on those questions too. All right. If you haven't yet, on this video right now, leave a like and comment below to build our community. Yes. It is a time to make our community stronger and better, especially after everything that's happened in 2023. Let's become even closer as a community, and let's become those that really be able to help each other out. So just super happy for everyone joining us every weekday on the Morning Star Drive. So let's get up and support each other each and every day. All right, Sunday message title. Two of them this week. Even God must take action for things to come true. How much more this is true for human beings. And the second title is, if you don't know the Lord, it is suffering. It causes fighting and destroys peace. Okay? So everyone, it is Friday. The weekend is upon us. Super excited to be here, and it's Christmas weekend. I know there's Sunday's gonna be Christmas Eve, which is kind of cool. Sunday lands on Christmas Eve. So we have the Christmas Eve service, and then there's Christmas events happening, after services. This weekend, I believe I'll be joining two different church events for Christmas. And then also Christmas morning service. It's at 10 a.m., I believe. And then for us, a bunch of families, a bunch of people, like 50 people are going to go camping together for 2 nights. So that is pretty exciting too. 2 nights of camping. But you know what? I haven't been camping in a long time. And honestly, just being the person I am, I would prefer glamping. Personally. And it's only because I haven't been camping in a long time. And I just know oh man, we're going to be roughing it out in the wilderness. But camping seems rugged enough for me to feel like a man again. I'm thinking, you know what? I gotta go out camping. I haven't been in a long time. I just remember it's you're gonna be out in the, out in the woods, get bitten by mosquitoes, this and that. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to it, but yet I have a big feeling that I am really, really going to enjoy it. I really am. I think I'm going to enjoy the camping, even though I'm I don't want to be out in the wilderness, but I think I'm going to really enjoy it. Last night, I had my favorite food in Malaysia. It is satay. Satay is number one for me. And we went right after church because, I wanted to show Daniel and his family, this is the food that's awesome. And they loved it too. We had 60 skewers of it's not shish kebabs. It's just meat on a stick that they cook for you. And there's lamb, there's chicken, there's beef. And we ordered so many of that. We had Taiwanese sausages, milk tea, and my favorite also is the watermelon fresh fruit juice and stuff like that too. So I loved it. I really did. So, and I was so happy that they loved it too. I think today, you know what it is? I've become a spokesperson for Malaysia because I've been here for so long. It's almost when people see me, they're like, oh, you're back. It's not welcome back to Malaysia. It's oh, you're back again. Because, I feel I'm, what's that word? I feel I'm kind of an honorary Malaysian. because I've been here for so long. I know everyone else here. I know all the leaders, everyone. I've had fun with all the campus and the SS stuff like that too. And I love the Milky Way here too. But yeah, I feel like that, I feel like I have this invisible visa that is like I'm an honorary member of Malaysia. That's what I feel like. Taiwan, I don't quite feel it like that yet because, I've only been there. I haven't lived there as long as I lived in Malaysia. And I know Malaysia a lot better, so I could take, I'm taking Daniel and his family. I have a car here, driving them around, going to today we're going to go to the Batu Caves, and we're going to visit the huge church CMC, and just a ton of things that we're going to do. So I'm super happy and excited about this too. But that's something that I'm looking forward to also. But yeah, I'm glad to be back. It's good to see a lot of old faces and stuff too. And I got one of the best compliments the other day. The best compliment I got was, "Wow, Sky, you look like you're getting younger." Woo! I'm sure none of you out there believe me that someone actually said that to me, but someone actually did. I'm going to tell you straight up. You know what it is? It's just, if I was in Taiwan, they would probably just say to me, "Oh, you've got a lot of collagen." I don't know what it is. In Taiwan, it's like they don't say, "Oh, you look older." They'll say stuff like, "Oh, you lost collagen." And I think it's a direct translation, but that's kind of what they say in Taiwan. So, but here it's, I'm very, very happy to be back, getting comfortable once again. And I'm at my friend's house right now, and he's got 2 dogs. So it's kind of cool having these 2 dogs, like to wake up to 2 dogs every morning, stuff like that also. Oh, have you guys seen I have a new coffee friend? Well, not a coffee friend, but an Instagram coffee friend. And this is a good friend of mine. He also loves coffee. And now he is also rating coffee too. I love it. He mentioned me, so I posted on my Instagram also. But I love it because he's traveling all over the US. He was in LA. He's going to go back to Houston. But he loves coffee. He's rating coffee too. So it's interesting to see which places he goes to in America and how he rates them. And he's like talking to me like, I'm curious what you would rate these coffees, right? And yeah, I'm kind of curious too. It's like, wow, he gave this coffee shop a 9, which is like, for me, is very impossible to get a 9. But yeah, if anyone else out there wants to join, we'll call this the coffee cult. Okay? If anyone else wants to join the coffee cult, go ahead, take pictures of your coffee, make sure that you rate them, and then mention me in it, and I'll post it up on mine too. Because we got to start this coffee cult where everyone is getting different coffees and around the world, and they're rating them and ranking them. And just to let you guys know, this is my rating system. A 7 is a place I'd go back to. Like a 7 is like, yeah, that's good enough. 7 is good enough. And then 8, then it's not just flavor. It's also going to be about the latte art, and even what kind of espresso machine they're using. And, looking at the way that they make the coffee also. Like when I went to Arabica the other day, the store I went to, they were on top of it. Like if something wasn't perfect, they throw the coffee away and they start it all over again. So I'm just like, yes, this is the place. Like they love their coffee. It was done with precision and love. That's what I felt. Okay. So yeah, that's if you guys want to join the coffee cult, just take the pictures, make a rating on them, and just let me, mention me in it, and I'll definitely post up too, just to see how many other people are joining this coffee cult, to see how many coffee people are going to be rating coffee out there. Okay. Oh, I got some cool news right now, guys. Remember I told you yesterday, if you guys have any testimonies about what happened during this year, looking at the good things and also the mistakes that we made, I've already got the first testimony going to be played today. And this is so cool. This is from a Mongolian member. Yes, I am super excited and happy that this is Ichigo. And she is someone that I also follow on Instagram. And like she was telling me like her English isn't that good, but you guys can tell me what you guys think, because when I listen to the testimony, I can understand what she's saying. Of course, she has an accent, but I can understand her English, and I think it's very courageous of her to do it in another language. Like I can't imagine doing a testimony in Korean, but she's doing it in English. She has been a long-time listener of the Morning Star Drive, so I'm super thankful that she did this testimony for 2023, the good and the bad, the mistakes that she made too, and what she learned from it. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this. Please welcome Ichigo, who's a Mongolian member currently in Korea. Please listen and tell me and leave a lot of comments for her awesome testimony today.
Hi MSD listeners, my name is Ichigo. I'm from Mongolia and I've been in Korea for years and I've been in Providence for years now. And since the start, I've been listener of the MSD, and I'm really thankful for this chance to giving testimony about what I learned from this 2023 year and what I'm gonna improve. And this is gonna be 3 things that I realized from the Wednesday words. And after Wednesday words, the Morning Star Church campus has giving the news about Sensenim trial. So after listening to trial, I really think about what if people think I'm a brainwashed too. Especially my school house, the Hangul University, is the quite hot topic about the Mayfield because she was student here, and so the other professors, and sometimes they talk about bad things about Sensenim. It makes me quite disappointed. So I really want to show them that we are not brainwashed at all, and actually I do get better. But the problem is I really don't focus on my studies this 4 year because my main purpose was the evangelizing people and helping newcomers and just giving them education or the lessons. Bible studies was my main purpose of these 4 years and main most fun thing to do. So first thing I should improve for me was study, because the 3 years was online, and this year is I just not fully take care of any of my studies. I just want to graduate as soon as possible. But since I left almost 2 semesters now, I really wanna show the professors we are not brainwashed at all, and other people too. I can focus everything I need. I'm gonna be spiritually and physically better with God and certain words, not bad at something. And the second thing is I really wanna focus on the time, because 4 days a week I'm so spiritual. Every Monday I'm going to Wilmington at 9 time. It's not 9. This Monday was 9 time. So since I don't know when I'm gonna leave Korea, as much as I have chance to go Wilmington, I going there and making learning about more spiritual and making history with God. So, and every Tuesday I meet newcomers and for help them to study Bible, and Wednesday I sleep with the members, Mongolia members, and helping or listening them. And for the Thursday is like study and Bible. And so until Thursday, the 4th day is so spiritual, but other 3 days is so physical and so lazy. Since I so much done those 4 days, I want to take rest, and the rest is fully physical, and it's quite long because it's 3 days. So I'm not doing my mornings downwards, and so physical. It feels like declarota Judah because I've been trading my time with Satan because it's just so easy to do, and I've been thinking that was not enough time with God. So fully week every day with God should be my purpose. So first one is study, second one is time, the third one is I'm gonna focus on my habit, because the reason why I'm being lazy for 3 days is because my habit. 18 years I live physically, and if I done something good, some task, the winning, the deserving thing was to have a rest, take a rest, and just watching Netflix and the dramas and something fun. Doing nothing is my most happy time, my 18 years of habit. So I should really change that. I really wanna make new habits that after I have something done, I wanna spend time with God, like Pastor Sky doing MSD, something like that. So I wanna have a real good habit. So those two things is the study, time, habit is what should I improve from this year. Then I can fully evangelize and fully show people that I'm really, really become better version of myself with God and certainly. Yes. Thanks so much for hearing me. Have a good day.
And thank you so much, Ichigo, for a wonderful testimony. And I'm very grateful and thankful that she was able to do this in English and everyone here can understand it. If you have any comments or anything, please leave one for Ichigo. It's awesome being the first. Like, this is one of the things that Sunseem said is, like, the first one is always the hardest to do. And especially when we're talking about her mistakes, it's not an easy thing. So big round of applause to Ichigo for that wonderful testimony. Please leave a comment down for her for all the different things that she shared with us today. Okay? So yeah, here I am. Oh yeah, if you guys have any testimonies also, you guys can please send me those audios, especially when we're getting close to the end of the year. I think it's something that would be very beneficial for a lot of people to listen to each other's testimonies of what happened this year for them. And also, I think it will inspire others to look at their testimonies too. Okay, so yeah, if you have any testimonies, go ahead and leave them. Send them to my email, or you can text me or get to my IG. That would be awesome too. Okay, so like I was telling you right before this, I've been hanging out with Daniel and his family here in Malaysia, sightseeing, eating together, going out, doing stuff like this. But the funny thing is, like, the person I get along the most with, or the person that I talk to the most, is the daughter. And she's like 12 years old. And I'm thinking to myself, is that the level of my mind? Am I like a 12-year-old girl? So like, we sit there like little girls talking nonsense. Like, you're dumb. No, you're dumb. You're stupid. You're like poo-poo head, right? We just talk like this. She's like, can I call you grandpa? I'm like, I don't care. You can say whatever I want, right? And then I'll start calling her names too. But yeah, in my head, I was just like, man, is my mind really that young? Do I have like that Benjamin Button disease where I'm going backwards in my maturity or stuff like that too? But yeah, I found that kind of interesting. Like, I think I talk to her the most, and I bug her and tease her the most, and she totally makes fun of me too, because of my age. Because I'm like, if she's 12, I am almost 4 times her age. Because I'm 45 and she's 12, right? So I'm just like, I'm almost 4 times her age. It's crazy. But yeah, I'm having a really, really good time with the family over here too. And yesterday night we went to, or like on Wednesday night, we went to like Wednesday service at the English church here. And I'm going to tell you this, guys, it was so refreshing to listen to the word in English. Because remember, I've been gone for 2 months, Korea and Taiwan, and they're not in English, and I have to either read the script or I'm listening to some type of translation, right? Or Korea is like, it's not my native language, so it's not like I can comfortably listen. I'm always translating in my mind. And if I even think about it even more deeply, 6 months in Canada, if I think about that time, we never had a live service. We're watching the New York service online because there's no preacher in Vancouver. So if you think about that, it's been like 8 months since I've had an English service. 8 months, like seeing it live right in front of my face. And it was so refreshing to hear it live and in person, listening and understanding every single thing that they said, even though it's in Manglish with a Malaysian accent. It was so refreshing, right? And you just realize once again the impact, like how great the impact it is. It's far greater than watching and listening online. It's far greater. You can't help it. It's so much better. Like listening live in front of your face. The person speaking to you is not online service. Is not going to church and watching online. It is so different, right? So, like for me, I really, really enjoyed it. It was me and Daniel's father's. I've known him since 1999. I've known him for like 25 years already. I've known him even before he was married, right? And we were both just talking about how refreshing and how graceful the service was. Like, this service was so graceful. It's interesting because when I went there, like the feeling of the Wednesday service was still like a Sunday service. Like most people come to service. Praise was really fiery. Members, like during the message, they say amen passionately. And even though it's a small church, it was really graceful and inspiring. I really, really liked it. Which kind of gives me a quick question for you guys out there. I'm not sure what it's like in most churches, but what is your church's attitude towards Wednesday service? That's something I'm really curious about. Like when you go to Wednesday service, is it packed? Is it empty? Is it fiery? Is it cold? Are people saying amen? Or is it just really quiet? Like what are people's attitudes towards the Wednesday service? Because for me, I think it would be interesting to see how people really treat the Wednesday service, right? Compared to of course you can't compare it to the Sunday service because Sunday service is the weekend and there's there's really no excuse for not attending. But what is the attitude like for the Wednesday service? Is it different? Right? Because I can imagine some people out there might have the attitude of like, oh, well, it's not Sunseem's word and it's the head leaders that are just reviewing the Sunday message. So it's not that important. So I don't really need to, like, I can see people actually thinking about doing it that way too. So I was looking at like, that's quite interesting. I'm wondering, right? How people's attitudes are towards the Wednesday service. You know what? I think I'll do this for the poll next week. I think that would be a good poll question to see what people's attitudes are like towards the Wednesday service, right? And I think, because I have a few thoughts on it, because if people ever asked me about it, I think, I had to think about this for a bit, but I think that will be next week's poll question about the Wednesday service. I would really like to hear what people's real attitudes and thoughts are on it. Oh, big thing, guys. Remember today, it's the 22nd, which means it's the trial date, right? Today is the trial date, the sentencing. So let's hope that, we're really praying. Let's hope that everything works out according to the will, right? Now, the trial is going to be going on today. And, I hope we can all get together, pray, and make sure that Sunseem is doing well. And I think that's one of the bigger things we need to pray about too. Because more than just praying for the outcome of the trial, that's just one thing that we don't have full control of. There's something in God's hands, see what God's going to do, what's going to be best for this history. But I think it's not good to just focus on the outcome of the trial. Because I think if we just focus too much on the outcome of the trial, we forget that, Sunseem is this human being that has to handle the situation too. Like, this is his life. Like, the rest of his living life on earth could be in jeopardy here. And I think it's very difficult. If we only think about the outcome, we forget to realize the deep shimjung of God, but also the shimjung of Sunseem too. Because it's so hard. Like, I can't imagine what it's like for Sunseem to be in there again. Like, I don't know if you guys remember this. When he got out in 2018, he said that's the one place he never wants to go back to again. But yet, like 5 years later, he's back in that place. He's back there again. And he said he hated it. He never wants to go back there again. And, he's handling it really well. He's praying for us. He's sending the word, taking care of everything that we need. And, when we don't pray for him as the human being, right? It's very hard to realize a deep shimjung about his situation, right? Like, think about his mission. He's got that mission. He knows what he needs to do, but he's there again where he is stuck. Like, when I pray about it, it makes me think, what are his really deep thoughts? Like, what's going on in his heart? What's he thinking about at this moment? To be there again, the one place he never wanted to be enclosed in once again. And, it's not like he's in a place of privacy like where he was for 10 years. He's in a place right now, his room has like 20 people in it. So he's more conscious, doesn't want to bother other people, right? He's kind of like, he's got to think about others around him too. And, just being there again, being accused again, right? It's so sad, but it just makes me so angry at the same time, just to be in that situation again. And, we really need to pray that Sunsim's heart is strong. And we got to pray also for him that he can handle it according to God's will. I think like I said before, sometimes we forget that he is human because, he does a lot of superhuman things, like things that are so amazing, how he runs, how he works, how his mind is focused on God. And sometimes we forget that he's got real emotions and feelings like we do. He struggles. He fights with his own heart. He goes through the range of emotions just like us. The difference is, like, he has to fight, overcome it, and he has to put it behind him. So I think, think about it this way. What we went through in March, like, it was pretty wild for everyone. But then imagine how much more it hurt Sunsim. March. Like, the feeling he's going through has to be exponential. I can't even really grasp that shimjung. And I don't think anyone I don't think any of the difficulties in my life would be able to connect to his shimjung right now. Like, I couldn't fully understand it. The depth of that shimjung, I think it would just be unbelievable. And something only God or Jesus could really understand. So, yeah, I know we are praying for the outcome. So as much as we want to pray for the outcome, I think we really need to pray for the will to be done. But let's not forget to pray for Sunsim too, so that he can handle everything well. All the emotions he's going through. And think about this too. KJS was like the second closest to him, and then he got betrayed by the person closest to him. I think that is, like, I can't imagine feeling, the unbelievable feeling of being betrayed by the closest person to you. So let's pray for Sunsim too. Pray for Sunsim to be strong in his mentality, his thoughts, his heart, his emotions. Because, you have to think about this too, that Sunsim's going to be sitting in that trial, and that judge is going to lay a sentence on him. And he's going to be listening to it face to face. And I think it's something that, once again, it's a private trial. Like, we just can't understand what it's like to be there. Then all of a sudden, he's going to have a sentencing done today. So let's really, really pray for Sunsim too, that he can handle it well, right? And also, let's pray for those that, if bad news comes down the line, then let's pray for those that are still struggling a bit to be able to handle the situation really well too. Because I think that's something that I really want to make sure that everyone would be able to, that's one thing I want to tell everyone, because I think we sometimes focus too much on just the outcome. Oh God, please let him not go there, right? But I think we have to think about it in a much bigger way. Okay? So yeah, it's trials today, and I know that the trial's going to happen. We might get bad news, and then we have Christmas events. But I really, really hope that we can celebrate joyfully and really pray for Sunsim more, but have joy like we are celebrating together with Sunsim. I think that would be something that Sunsim would really want also. Not for everyone to be down on Jesus' birthday, but for us to celebrate it with all our hearts, because I know that even in that prison, Sunsim is going to be celebrating Jesus' birthday. he's going to be loving Jesus even more. Even in his situation, he's going to be happy and joyful, making sure that Jesus gets, that celebration that's due to him. But I think that's something that we have to understand too is, Sunsteam's going to do it because it's about Jesus' birthday. We got to be those that go out and celebrate Jesus' birthday, celebrate joyfully with him. Also pray for Sunsteam and make sure that we, pray that, ask for Sunsteam's soul to come to our events so that he can enjoy it together with us too. Okay? So yeah, I hope that everyone's going to have an amazing, awesome weekend. I'm looking forward to it. Wow, wait a second. If I'm going to be on a camping trip for 2 nights, how am I going to do my podcast? That is something I need to think about. Because I do need a plug. I think they're going to have outlets out there. I do think they will. So let's see what happens there. But it would be kind of cool if you guys hear all the nature around me as I'm doing the podcast. I think that would be kind of cool. But yeah, I'll figure out a way. There's no way I'm not going to do it. And if worse comes to worse, I'm just not going to go camping. Not because I don't want to be in the outdoors. It's for you guys, right? It's for the podcast, right? Either way, maybe a little bit of both. All right. So before we get into the Wednesday message word study, let's get into the first break of the day. All right, so let's get into today's word study. And of course, every Friday is the Wednesday message word study. And I'm very grateful and thankful, like I said in the first segment, to be able to watch it live. Like literally the preacher is right in front of me. And because it's also a small church, you're very clear. You can see the preacher and listen to, I just thought it was a very, very amazing experience. This week's Wednesday message, same title as before, even God must take action for things to come true. How much more this is true for human beings. And also, if you don't know the Lord, it is suffering, it causes fighting and destroys peace, and same scriptures. So, I'm going to go over, I listened to it over here in Malaysia from the English church. I really, really enjoyed it. And one of the first things, like in the intro, the leader was saying that People, when they hear the Sunday message, they had mixed feelings. Mixed feelings means, part of your feeling is like, yeah, we really did a good job this year. We really did well. We did this and this and we overcame. But then on the flip side, you kind of have the mixed feelings because you're like, but I kind of regret this. I should have fulfilled this. I should have done this, right? And I think it's very true. Like here at the end of the year, sometimes seems like, yeah, in the end, it's about whether you did it or not, right? That's one of the key points. In order for you to get something to be fulfilled, if you want to get something to get done, you got to do it, right? And it's like, even God has to do it. Like, that's the crazy thing. God set the rules even for himself so he would not be a hypocrite, that even he must take action, right? And I think it's something that we have to kind of look at and say, yeah, in the end, when we become kind of a little bit lazy and stuff like that, that's when things don't get done. That's when we're left with regrets. That's when we're like waking up at like 8 a.m. like, I missed pre-dawn. I should have done pre-dawn. Or you woke up, but you went back to sleep by mistake or whatever it is. Like this morning, I had a really good time of prayer for pre-dawn. But the good thing about having the dogs here, like the dogs wake me up in the morning. Like the dogs woke me up, it was like 3:50 a.m. Yesterday, the dogs woke me up at 2 a.m., right? So it's kind of cool having these like, these random alarms, these dogs barking or whimpering at night. It's kind of cool having these random alarms going off. But, I really like how God is so fair that even the rules he gives to us, it's for himself too, right? Which makes God even greater. That he's not like, I am God, I do whatever I want, but you have to follow these rules. Like you kind of see like those are what tyrants and dictators do, right? The rules for thee are different for me. Like that's the way they are. But it's hard to respect those types of people. However, if I'll tell you the story where when I was the volleyball coach for the Lord's Church, people were crying because the practices were so hard. We ran so many lines. We ran so much. People were upset in their minds or whatever it was, right? And it's like, if you're late, we're running lines. And the lines are not just like running once. One line is like you run to the net, you jump 10 times, you do 10 push-ups, run to the line, jump 10 times, you do side steps 10 times, you go back, do 10 sit-ups. And that's the whole volleyball court, okay? Now, we would have 7-8 people being late for volleyball, which means we would be doing 8 in a row. However, there's one reason why no one can say anything against me. It's because I did it together with them, right? So it was fair. It wasn't me just watching them from the side. I was doing all that with them. So, it's where people will respect more that, it's not just us that has to do it, but we're doing it together, right? So I really, I thought like that was really inspiring. Like even God has to abide by his own rules, right? God has to do it by his own rules. And because it's about free will and responsibility, if we don't do our responsibility, nothing happens. God's not going to do everything for us. He'll do his part of it, and then we have to do our part, right? So one of the messages I really thought had to do that has to do with this year a lot was the greatest work, or what's the first thing we must do to take action, to take action with God. And the first thing that matters the most is like John chapter 6, verse 29. What is the work that we must do to go to heaven? Jesus says, believe in the one that God has sent. Believe in me, the Messiah. Which means all we need to do first is absolutely believe in the Savior, absolutely believe in the Savior that is sent by God. And that is something that has to do with this year, because even though we may not have been so great in our actions or might not have been so righteous, the reason why we stayed and others left is because of that absolute belief, that absolute faith in the one that God sent, the absolute faith in Jesus, the absolute faith in the man of mission. And that is something that we have to realize is such a big thing that if you imagine someone who doesn't really have that absolute faith and they're just running. And what Sunseep said in this week's message is, if you don't have absolute faith, then once tribulation comes, you falter, you shake, and you crumble, right? So we had a ton of people who were running without absolute faith, and when that tribulation came, they were gone. But who is better? What's the first thing that matters? The first thing that matters is, do you have absolute faith? Do you have conviction? Do you believe in this history? And all of us right now can say yes, because we are still here through the most difficult time. Because what was the message telling us yesterday? If you have absolute faith, if you have absolute belief in God, what does that give you? Well, absolute faith gives you strength, right? Gives us the strength and courage to overcome. And that's what happened to us. Even though we may not have been the ones evangelizing, lecturing, doing all these other different things like other people were, the reason we stayed is because that absolute faith gave us the strength to overcome, gave us the courage to stand up to what is wrong, right? Just like the protests and stuff, we get the strength and courage because, we have that absolute faith, right? We have that trust in the Lord. Right? We trust in the Lord completely. We give ourselves up to the Lord, that even when people say the most ridiculous or they make these crazy accusations, we still trust in the Lord. And that's what absolute faith does. And I think one of the good things, like even what Ichigo did just in that first segment when she gave a testimony, it's the reflect and checking. Right? Reflect and check yourself right now. How much do you absolutely believe and have faith in the one that God sent? Right? And you can even bring it to the point of how much faith you have in Jesus. Because if you have that much faith in Jesus and believe in Jesus, then that much more you would believe in the one he's using as his body. Right? Reflect and check. And of course, we had the three different types of people in this week's message. You had the Samaritan woman who realized early, Peter, who realized after the tides had already turned, and then Paul, who realized after Jesus died. Right? And you can see the difference between the three. The Samaritan woman, Peter, and Paul, excuse me, I just yawned, sorry. I got to drink more of this. 1 second, let me get this coffee. All right, I feel better now. Well, if you think about like those three people, Samaritan woman, Peter, and Paul, Samaritan woman realized the earliest, which means she spent more time in joy while the Lord was living. Isn't that crazy? Like even more than the apostles that were with Jesus for 3 years, listening to his word, the Samaritan woman lived in more joy, more happiness, more fulfillment of her life than the apostles who were with Jesus every day, listening directly to his word. I'm like, that is such a blessing. Right? Like, think about this. Like, some of us have come to Providence this year. I met, at the church, I met this newcomer that just passed in December, like this month. She's been in Providence for less than a month. But can you imagine the difference of you coming to Providence now rather than coming 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago? Like for me, guys, I'm 25 years. I've experienced so many things in Providence, seen so many miracles. I'm like, wow, this is great, right? But then I can't imagine someone who was there even earlier. Like I came in the first half of history. I came 1998, the very last year of the first half of history. So I'm still like a first half history guy. But there's so many others that were there 5 years longer than me, 10 years longer than me. And what they experienced is just incredible. Like you would have seen even more miracles because in that first half of history, there was more of that direct miracles happening. I couldn't imagine like how great that would have been to be there that early, right? And then thinking about, someone like Peter who realized basically right before he was sentenced to death. That's crazy that you realize. That's like, if you think about like in terms of this is a bride and bridegroom history, that's like you meeting your wife or husband and then they die the next year. Can you imagine that? You get married and then they die the next year. There was a movie about that with Keanu Reeves and Charlize Theron, something about October, I think. But there's a movie with Keanu Reeves and Charlize Theron, and that's what the movie's about. He meets the love of his life, like, and she's terminally ill with cancer or something like that, and she's gonna die. Like, can you imagine what that feeling is like, guys? You get married, and the next year they die. even thinking about that, it's so sad to think about it, in those terms. But that's what Peter went through. That's what the disciples went through. And then Paul, Paul was someone that Sunseam said was the one that had the most regret and grief. So that's after, like he was living at the same time as Jesus. He spent his life persecuting and killing Christians. And then he was so grieved by his own ignorance after he realized who Jesus was, right? And when I looked at it, I was like, wow, that is incredible. And then he was just determined to resolve his grief by evangelizing and testifying for Jesus. And I would say that, wow, that's a really big motivator. But can you imagine that your motivation is grief? And the only way to solve it, which probably will never get solved while he was living, is by evangelizing and testifying? Wouldn't it be so much better if you were the Samaritan woman with joy, realizing Jesus goes into town, doesn't care what people say, and she testifies in joy, in love. She met the Messiah. That is so different. Like if you think about the difference between the Samaritan woman and Paul was in grief constantly. Every time he was suffering, I deserve it. Like that is a crazy life when you think about it like that, don't you think? Oh, I deserve it. Woe is me. He had that much grief. And then on the other side, you have the Samaritan woman who is in joy, loving with all his heart. So when I looked at that, I was like, wow, like that is such a huge difference. It really, really is. So, I hope that all of us too, we have 9 days left. Is it 22nd? 8 days left. And, it's the year of fulfillment, right? It's an evangelism. Let's make sure we get everything done. Let's achieve, right? Let's fulfill what we need to fulfill for the last 9 days. Let's transform ourselves in the last 9 days. And of course, we can only transform ourselves 9 days worth, but it's better than nothing, right? It's at least we're transforming and fulfilling something, right? And that's why we need to know that this is us being transformed through the word can only be done because we know who the man of mission is. We know who the one who sent, and we've become one with him, right? So I hope it's something that we'll really, really believe with all of our hearts. So we're at the end of the year. Let's examine ourselves. And the message was saying that why do people shake? Why do people crumble? And part of it is we just don't know perfectly. We don't know correctly, right? We don't have that absolute faith. We don't know the Lord as we should. We don't listen to the words properly. And because we don't listen to the words, we didn't take action properly. Sometimes we forget to pray, or we think we're too tired to pray. Sometimes it's because, we kind of fell into the trap of the people trying to deceive us with the rumors and the accusations, right? But we have to be those that realize it all comes down to how much do we know the Lord? How much do we truly, truly know? And why is it so important to know the one that God has sent? Because the only way for us to know God, the only way for us to get close to God is through the one that has been sent, because he knows God the best. That's the same thing as Jesus, same thing as Moses, same thing as David, right? It's understanding God through the one that he has sent. And this is why it's so important that you can't just go to God, because we'll only get a limited level of who God is. And if we don't meet the man of mission, it's the same as someone just believing in the Old Testament way and not knowing about God through Jesus and how much deeper we learned and we became children of God. But even now, even more so, is to learn even deeper, to know, wow, we are brides of God, but brides have to be the closest. How can we become a bride of God? It's through the one that is sent. Right? Through the one that we have sent. And, when there's a bunch of different ways we can confirm and even convict, to gain more conviction. And of course, one way is to take action, because when you take action, you realize that, oh, the words are true, right? And you realize more about God. Oh, this is the type of God we have. Oh, this one, through actions, we come to realize and we have more conviction. And also, it's about, like we just said, is got to study the word. Study the word well, study the scriptures well, study the Bible well, right? And Well, it's always best when you talk to the man in mission. He's like straight up like, yeah, that's me. And they're like, okay, we got the answer, right? But we need to, probably the easiest way for us and what's going to happen in the future for the next, after Sunseam dies, for the next like 900 years, how are people going to recognize the one sent, even though he's already died? It's through the word. That's going to be the number one way. This is the way to know with absolute certainty, right? That's the way to know with absolute certainty that, that it's going to happen, right? So we have to be those that know with certainty, and it's going to happen through the word, and ultimately because the word is God. God will testify to our hearts when we receive those words and believe them, right? So this one part I really liked about the message, when it talked about the Samaritan woman who had that, who had the mentality and the everyday mentality and thoughts that allowed her to believe in Jesus so quickly, right? And the one thing she believed, that the Lord would explain everything, right? Now, here's the interesting part. This is what Sunseam talked about in the past, is what does it mean, everything, right? Everything doesn't mean literally everything. Everything means what means everything to you. What meant everything to the Samaritan woman? The issue she had with love. She couldn't find it. She had 5 husbands before, divorced all of them, and even the man she is with now wasn't even one of the 5 husbands. And she's like, how do you know my life? How do you know the issue that I'm having with love? How could you know this? And that's one thing that was something in her heart that no one else could really understand. But she's like, how would you know this issue I have with love? And then she came to her questions like, I'm someone who likes to worship God too. But, me and my ancestors, we worship in the mountains, and then you guys worship in a temple, but how do we really worship? And Jesus explains everything. Why? Because those 2 things meant everything to her. Those 2 things meant everything to her. That's why it's everything to her. She's not going to sit there and saying, oh my gosh, Jesus explained the theory of relativity even before Einstein. Oh my goodness, he knows about gravity. Like, he's not talking about those things, because even for us too, in our lives, we have to think about what's the thing that's most important to us. And those are the questions that need to be answered. And if those questions are answered, we should be forever thankful, because that is everything to us. That's everything. Really is. So if we really want to get those answers, where are we going to find them? It's through the word. Listen to the word, guys. Listen to the word with all your heart, and you're going to get your answers. Maybe, it might be 85, 90% of the message may have nothing to do with you, but that one moment you hear those words and it clicks, and you're like, that's the answer I wanted. When people don't listen properly to the word, this is why they cannot realize the Lord. Who am I talking about? Well, first and foremost, think about the 12 apostles. They listened for 3 years and they couldn't recognize Jesus. 3 years. But we have to also parallel that to our time period. Right? Our time period. Have we really recognized? Right? Or looking at people who don't, are we going to lose our faith because we're not listening to the words with all our hearts? The Samaritan woman recognized instantly and believed. Right away, she went to evangelize. Right? And that's us too. If you think about it in a smaller scale, we receive the word every week. If you listen to it really well, what happens? At that moment, you realize it's deep. It affects you. You put it into action right away because it's the answer to your question. And like this one part here was, really striking to me. It's like, even if someone's been following Providence for a long time, if the mentality and thoughts are too strong or the faith is not solid, then we will end up even killing the Lord, just like Judas Iscariot did. That's scary because that's exactly what happened this year. So that was really deep just to hear that. It's like, yeah, it comes down to it's the mentality and thoughts, right? It's either your mentality thoughts are too strong, you're too much on your own thoughts, or your faith is not solid enough. And this is why these things are happening. And you might think to yourself, is about KJ, yes, she was really strong. And the answer is absolutely. She was fiery strong. When I first met her, she was amazing. Her faith was like you couldn't compare it to anyone else. But it doesn't mean that because she was strong before, she was continuously strong the whole time. Yeah, people, if they don't maintain and manage themselves, what happens? They kind of lose themselves in it. They lose their faith because their own thoughts became too strong. And then their faith began to die. And, it came to this really crazy point is like, let's just pretend, we're in the golden city, right? As we're raptured. But if you drop out of that golden city, the message is like, it takes thousands of years to be restored back, which means it's still possible, but thousands of years. And this is why the Holy Spirit's telling us, you got to do well from the beginning. Just do well from the beginning. So I looked at it as like, yeah, guys, we got to hold, and thank God we all held on. Because once you lose that, man, to get back to where you were before, yeah, it'll take thousands of years. But if you didn't fall from grace, those thousands of years could have been used to take you to an even greater level, right? So I looked at that, I was like, yeah, we just got to do well from the beginning, right? Oh, yeah, there's so much to go through in this week's message. I really, really enjoyed it. It was super deep. Yeah. So you guys, we all got to remember, guys, if God and the man of mission are 100% going to fulfill what they need to fulfill, then if we want to be those that fulfill this history, then we got to be united with them. If we want to fulfill it, if we want to be successful, we got to do it together, right? Because, we've heard that time and time again, the Lord wins and wins again. Even though right now, people in the world and even people in Providence might be saying, oh, I think he's losing right now. But then you could say the exact same thing about Jesus, that, oh, Jesus lost. Jesus lost because he died on the cross, and so many people might be thinking at that time, he didn't win at that time. But when you look at the official result with 2.5 billion Christians that believe in Jesus right now, he has won and he will win again. Right? No matter what he faces, he wins. Even when he doesn't want to be there, he wins. So if we become united with the man of mission, if we become united with Jesus, with the Holy Trinity, then we also win over everything too, right? That's why this is the greatest testament Sunsteam has given, right, is this year. Because there's a will, it doesn't matter about the tribulations, about the persecution, about the legal trials. You go to the end. It doesn't matter if you don't want to be there. If you hated prison for the last 10 years, you go until the end. You don't stop no matter how hard it gets. And that's kind of the thing that we have to look at too right now is, yeah, some of us go through difficulties all the time in life, whether it's financial, whether it's physical, whether it's your health, whether it's your business, whatever it is, with your family, relationships. You can't stop. You can't stop no matter how hard it gets, because once you stop, you quit, then you start like diving into depression and you lose even more. We got to go until the end. And this is when we're going to be absolutely blessed. Right? Think about this. We go to the end, and this is not even a long time, right? Even for me, like I'm already halfway through my life. Another 40, 50 years. You know what that is? That's nothing. It's nothing. It's not a long time. The lifetime of the body and spirit, the lifetime of your body, if you hold on just for the lifetime of your body, it will last eternally. Eternally, and 90 years is what? 90 years is a drop in the bucket to eternity. Just a short moment in time. Hold on until the end. Let's do things. Let's do things with that heart, right? With everything that we have, and we're going to be blessed until the end and for eternity. So I hope that all of us can take action with absolute love, with absolute, with that heart that wants to do even more for the Lord. We got to reignite that fire of love, be more united in love, and we got to save lives, not just this year, but for next year too. Next year, like the theme already came out, I believe, right? And evangelism is part of it, right? So I hope that you guys really, really enjoyed the Wednesday word study. I loved it. And like I said, it was actually in English, and I understood everything that was said, even the Manglish, right? I loved it, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed it too. So if you have anything you want to add or comment, go ahead, leave it below. I'd love to hear what you guys think about that also, okay? Before we get into the final segment of today's Friday podcast, let's move into the second break of the day.
Please don't let me down, Lord. I know I can trust you with all my heart. So I'm on my knees praying for you to always come through. Even if I pray all night, all I want is for your will be done. So I'm on my knees praying for you to always come through. No, I'm not slipping through. No, I'm not falling down. The only thing that's falling is my knees on the floor. I'm praying, Lord, will you give me strength? Lord, will you give me power? I can't do this myself, so bless me in the morning hours. All the demons test me, but they will never shake me. If I pray, they hate me. If I pray, you love me. Connected with you is the only thing that matters. And honestly, I couldn't be happier. While I'm praying on my knees, I trust you with all my heart. For you always come through. For myself, for my family, for myself alone I pray. Please don't let me down, Lord. I know I can trust you with all my heart. So I'm on my knees praying for you to always come through. Even if I pray all night, all I want is for your will be done. So I'm on my knees praying for you to always come through. I pray to never just settle for good when great is available. Who's the mastermind behind this mind? I give all the credit to God, that's why I'm back. They mad that I made it, I know that the Satans, they hate it. I keep working hard just to make progress. Now I'm on 10, trust the process, ayy. Look at my efforts lately. I'm setting conditions daily. I'm praying on my knees, so bless me. Please bless me, please bless me. Tribulations always come and go. I will never stop, just always know. Your focus determines reality. Stay solid, that's why I'm praying on my knees. I trust you with all my heart. For you to always come through. For myself, for my family, on myself alone I pray. Please don't let me down, Lord. I know I can trust you with all my heart. So I'm on my knees praying for you to always come through. Even if I pray all night, all I want is for your will be done. So I'm on my knees praying for you to always come through. SB.
Okay, so let's get into the final segment of today and for the entire week. And of course, over here in Malaysia, me and Daniel are hanging out. This is until the end. I'm looking forward to what he's going to talk about today because we did a lot of fun stuff already. So let's welcome all the way over there. Well, he's in Malaysia, not all the way over there. Let's welcome all the way over here from Malaysia, not from Malaysia, in Malaysia. This is Daniel Baker with Until the End.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Do It Until the End podcast. I hope everyone is having an amazing week. It's always, whenever I do these podcasts or record these podcast segments, I really realize how fast a week can fly by. Because it feels really like yesterday that I was researching and I was writing the scripts for this podcast and I was recording it. And it really gives perspective of how short a week can actually be. Yeah, so I'm having a very fun time right now because I'm 3 days in to my trip in Malaysia. I guess it's my 4th day, and today was Wednesday, or yesterday was Wednesday service. So I record the podcast on Thursday, of course. And I went to the Lord's Hope Church, and there's something very different about listening to the message in your first language. I haven't listened to a message in my first language in like a year or 2 years since I went to LA. I think it was 2022, right? The start of 2022. And I really, really enjoyed listening to the message in English. And it was very scary to realize that, even though my Korean is very good, that there's a major difference in the level of my understanding in English. Because English is my first language and majority of my internal monologue happens in English, it's kind of interesting that I will have that much difference in the amount of inspiration, but also the understanding of the message. There was multiple different things that I was very, very looking forward to within this trip. Meeting other Providence people, playing volleyball were big things. But one of the biggest surprises that I realized that I wanted to do, or I wanted to experience in Malaysia, was I really wanted to go to a bookstore in Malaysia. Now, why? Those Korean bookstores, that are amazing. They're just have a lot of different books. However, the English section in the Korean bookstores in Korea, they are not the most, especially when it comes to psychology and self-development. They don't have a lot of books. And it really reignited my love for books, because in Malaysia, even though Malay might be the main language, every person in Malaysia, I heard, learns 3 languages: Malay, English, and Chinese as a basic language. So you're able to go to these bookstores, and there's a huge section of books about self-development in English, and that really heightened my it brought back a love for books that I don't think I really had in the past. Because the more I read right now during this trip, the more I realize that, man, I was missing out on really something fun. Because reading, it gives you facts, right? The most important thing about reading is that it gives you facts. And you take in those facts, and you either put them off to the side and set them out, and you don't bring them into your belief system, or you adapt it into your belief system, and you try to get a larger understanding about that topic, right? If it's about habits, it's about habits. If it's about society, it's about society. If it's about having a purpose, there's so many different things in the self-development sphere where you're able to find these different types of topics that you can either pick and choose according to either your beliefs or your political side. There's so many different things that it's very fun to read and have concrete beliefs. That's the word that I really want to talk to you guys about, because having these concrete beliefs and beliefs is very important when you're meeting new people, or making a first impression, or when people ask you about a topic that can be considered very polarizing. When you have a really well thought out argument, or well thought out logical reasoning for whatever belief you have, it's very easy to convince them that you have a reason for what you believe in, right? If you just say that, oh, I believe in, if you just say that I believe that abortions are wrong, and you don't have any facts or any logical reasoning to back up that claim, then it's very difficult for you to have any respect when you have a conversation with someone. And so it's very important that we use books, and we use, really importantly, we use logic to form our different beliefs. And it's very important that we use these books to take action and really improve our lives in the future. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the week with the Trinity. It's a little bit of a shorter segment because I'm on vacation, but also I'm reading a ton, and I really want to get back to reading. To everyone that goes until the end with the Trinity, let's walk this path together. Peace out, guys. Bye-bye.
And thank you so much, Daniel, for another wonderful episode of Until the End Mental Health Podcast. And yeah, he was feeling it just as much as me. I didn't know that he felt it that much because it was just me and his dad talking the whole time, like, wow, that was so graceful and that was so good. But I forget that his first language actually is English. I forgot about that because he's been in Korea for like 11 years already, and he's also like the male SS leader at the Wonmyeongdong Church, so he's always using Korean all the time. So I didn't actually know that he felt it like that too. But either way, super grateful, thankful that all of you guys have joined us this entire week. We're heading into just one more week left before the new year comes in. We have Christmas this weekend. Enjoy your events, prepare well. Let's celebrate together with the Lord, and don't forget to pray, especially today before that trial begins, okay? So there it is, guys. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you guys again on Monday on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
The Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone,